In Albion, you can be anything you want to be, as everybody has their place in this magical world. Imagine that you are a miner. You are gathering ore in the mountains to supply your guild with precious resources. The blacksmith of your guild crafts the best weapons north of Dauntonsea, using the ore you bring him. Your guild, the Eternals, control the mountain area of the Western Outlands. Thus, they can control the market for weapons and ore, all thanks to your gathering of that precious resource. Your guild's merchants travel south to bring swords and unrefined ore to the city. Dauntonsea lies in the swamps, an area where no ore is to be found. So good quality weapons are scarce and sell well. This guild, the Ivory Raiders, is hunting animals for hide, which can be found plentiful in the steppe. This is also home to ancient animals, rarely to find in Albion. The guild then sells their precious loot in the city. Your merchants are buying valuable hide from the hunters, which they will need for armor, bags, and saddles. They then load their oxen and set out to return to their home in the mountains. The way back home is long and dangerous for your merchants when they ride through the swamps. These people call themselves shadow stalkers, outlaws lurking in the swamps. They prefer to plunder caravans traveling through rather than working and trading. The battle is short and brutal. The raiders are much better prepared. Overwhelm the few defenders you brought, plunder your caravan, and disappear into the swamp. You cannot let this happen again. The trading route from the mountains to Dauntonsea is far too important to let it be controlled by bandits. This means war. Your guild decides to drive the raiders out of their home base and take it over. If you succeed, you will control the swamp, giving your guild access to fiber. The best warriors and mages of your guild fight for the watchtowers and territories of the enemy. But a war is not only fought by warriors. Weapons break. Territories get destroyed. Warfare is a huge logistical challenge, demanding a vast amount of resources. The Shadow Stalkers fight back fiercely, but with each battle, your guild gets closer to their home territory, until a final, devastating blow ends this war. The sword that did the final strike on the enemy was made of all that you gathered. You have found your place in Albion. Everybody matters.
Albion Online is an MMO with a medieval setting. It has a lot of sandbox style gameplay to it and territorial warfare.
The important thing about the game is that we emphasize player freedom. You will be able to craft your own weapons, your own equipment. You will have to defend your village against other players. You will be able to conquer other players' villages.
It is very important for Albion Online that it's not a single-player game, but it's really a multiplayer game where you have to play with other people, you have to socialize with other people, and you have to work together as a group. Otherwise, you will not be able to succeed.
You can gather resources in lots of different areas and fields. You can build your own cities. You can develop your own political systems.
You will be able to work as a mercenary, maybe, or work as a craftsman, or as a trader, or basically everything you want to be.
Our game will be available for Mac, Linux, Windows, but also for Android and iOS tablets.
In the office I have a powerful PC, so maybe I want to play with that. In the evening on my couch I want to play with my iPad or my Android pad or something like that.
You want the player themselves to decide where to play and when to play. It was pretty clear that we have to do something different, like coming up with something very clean, something which you can easily read from the distance. The only way of to support the style and to make sure that the audience can read all the characters and all the details in the game was to massively overdo the style by going into cartoon a little bit, or into extremes in the shapes and in the colors and everything.
As a player you can build your own house. The most simple house is a tent, basically. The most expensive house will be more like a palace, actually.
You can build different kinds of buildings, like forges or sawmills, a carpenter's workshop, a stonemasonry. So we do not only want them to create player houses like you have in some games, but we want to focus that they create the complete village, including everything what is part of a village.
My favorite building will be the academy, I think, with the old wizard, maybe with some broken experiments which will blow off the building from time to time. That's what we are planning, with lots of effects from the window, and you from the distance realize, oh my goodness, the old wizard is on the work again.
Creating buildings is usually a team effort. More simple buildings you can make yourself. You can build your own tent probably, but if you want to build a larger fortress or something, you will need the help of other players.
We have a complete industry and variety of different buildings. Overall in Albion Online we have 50 different buildings and still implementing more day by day.
We decided against having character levels or experience points, because that usually leads to situations where a player who puts in a lot of time is undefeatable at some point.
The player defines himself only with his items he carries. So when you want to play a mage or when you want to play a warrior, you choose the items that fits your character and your play style. So for example, when you want to have melee damage, but you want to also have the ability to heal yourself or to cast spells, you can do that with combining spells with your self-crafted items and have a kind of configuration that fits your playing need.
You can mix any way you want, and it's probably exciting to figure out how certain combinations are beneficial. It may even make sense to combine the wizard head with the battle axe. So we want players to experiment with that, to figure out what set of equipment supports their playing style.
You have 6 to 8 items you can wear, like weapons and armor, that configure your whole configuration you want to have for your playing style.
The exciting thing about our game is that you can really lose something. Being killed actually means you lose your equipment, so that really sucks.
The full loot system itself just says that whenever you die, you can be looted by anyone who's looting your corpse or your body. So you can lose everything you have with you when you're getting into much risk.
A whole economy is built on resources, on buildings, and out of these two components, creating and crafting the items.
There will be an auction house in the game, which is actually not really an auction house. It's more like a public marketplace where you can offer stuff and buy stuff from other players. So it's not an auction house in the sense that you have to bid for something and the highest bid wins. No, it's more like a marketplace where you can offer stuff you've gathered, stuff you've crafted, and other players will be able to instantly buy that from you.
What I really like about the game design is that you can build your city, that you can build your realms, that you can build your political systems, where at the end, hopefully, armies will clash as kingdoms will come and go. And this is, of course, the aim of the whole game.
And you can really play any way you want. And me personally, on some days I just want to gather resources and build something, and on other days I'm in a different mood and I just want to go out there and kill something. And you can do both in the game, and that's fantastic, I think.
You absolutely have to watch your back here. You can't get caught off guard.
He manages to land the armor pierce, and focus fire brings down the axe player. Looks like they're going to push forward now, but
Healer caught out of position by the Spirit Hunter, and the hook from downtown could turn this one right around.
Sometimes it's not just about the kills, sometimes it's about the territory.
Looks like they're going to get a breakthrough here and take the high ground. Big damage into the backline here from the DPS. The healers are working overtime to keep everybody up.
Somebody called a cleanup crew.
Pushing through the streets here, they are trying to get a flank going. They're going to have to clear the remaining players.
City fights are the most dangerous. 20v20, lots of chokes, and everything is on the line.
High ground push now. They're looking to take down all of the castle guards as quickly as they can.
It doesn't look like they're going to be able to hold here. The front line has fallen. Clearly both teams want this castle. They do not want to give up this territory.
Massive damage coming out from the soul sides. The rampants will give them some space to breathe, but the firewalls and the snowballs are coming thick and fast. The damage is just too much for them right now.
Now they did it. Now they brought out the mammoth. It's over.
The mammoths are just wreaking havoc all across the backline.
That's how you win this game.
With Albion Online, we're trying to create a game that hasn't been made in a very long time. Albion Online is a reminiscence of the old MMORPGs, like Ultima Online. We're trying to go back to that time and modernize the themes and ideas of that time, the player freedom that was so important to these games, and bring it accessible to the modern generation.
With Albion, we want to get back to that older school feel, where the game isn't telling you what to do, the game is presenting a world, and it's saying to you, figure out for yourself what you want out of it.
You can be a fighter, you can be a farmer, you can be a craftsman, you can be a diplomat. You can really tell your own story in that world.
So the player-driven economy is one of the core pillars of Albion Online. There are a range of marketplaces throughout the world. The cities each have a market, and it's a local market. What you buy and sell at each city is what people have listed there, which means that there can be price differences between different cities.
Imagine, for instance, that there's a local conflict going on somewhere. So you could probably make a profit by selling weapons to both sides. So you would have to transport the weapons into the conflict area. Maybe you need to hire protection to make your transport go through. But in the end, a big profit can be made.
The economy is kind of the way that links everything together. You can just be someone on your own, mining some iron and making some swords, and you put it on the market to make a profit. And someone else buys those swords and uses it in their guild versus guild fight, and they use it to take a territory. And now the iron that you mined has had a direct impact on the territory they claimed. Crafting is a big part of Albion Online, because because everything in the game is made by players. There's basically nothing you can get hold of that wasn't player-made or player-collected. You can make weapons, you can make armor, you can train mounts, you can use it to farm, to grow crops, to grow animals. All these things are created purely through player action, with resources purely harvested by players. So you as a player are going to want to start specializing. Like, do I want to be the best armorer, like, in the area, or even the best, like, helmet crafter? I make the best plate mail helmets that you can buy. Like, that's what I do. Or I make really, really good, like, strong double-handed swords. That's my specialization. And everyone on the server knows that. Everyone knows that if you really, really want that really good sword, that's the guy to go talk to.
So in other MMOs, you're forced to enter the game and pick from a list of predefined classes with no basic information on what you're going to be doing with them. We didn't want this to be the case with Albion Online.
So we have this saying with Albion, which is, you are what you wear, which means that what you can do at any given time is basically determined by what equipment you have on you.
You can really be anything you want at any time.
If you put on a sword and an armor, you become a warrior. If you put on a staff and a robe, you become a mage.
As you start developing your character in Albion, you'll come pretty quickly across the Destiny board, which is kind of your hub for progressing your character and seeing what options there are available.
In the Destiny board, you see what you've unlocked. You'll actually see the different weapons, you'll see the different armors. You will also see all the crafting recipes, so you can easily spot what you've unlocked, what you're about to unlock, and what's ahead of you.
And once you get into it, you can kind of see exactly what you need to do to advance in different levels, advance in different areas, and specialize your character.
Guilds are a very important aspect of Albion Online. These player-run societies will have a big impact on the world. Guilds can conquer territories, and in these territories they can build autonomous bases. They can build their own little cities where they operate and start to build an empire.
You're actually fighting over territories, you're fighting over land, you're fighting over resources, and it's incredibly exciting.
You can play Albion Online on Windows, Mac, Linux, and Android and iOS tablets, which is a completely new level of freedom and accessibility for the MMO genre.
All the players on all the different devices can play together in the same game world.
We do this because we want the game to be available anywhere.
You can play on your Windows computer at home, on your Mac at work, you can play on your Android or iOS pad, on the train to work.
And having those different options allows you to interact with the game when you want to on your own terms.
Albion Online features a unique classless system in which you are what you wear. You can freely combine your equipment items and thus determine what you can do. Going from a cloth-wearing archer to a healer in plate armor to a mage wearing a mixture of all armor types is easily possible in Albion Online. Match your equipment to your preferred playing style. You can choose freely and are not locked into anything. As you move through Albion Online's Destiny board, you unlock nodes to show your character's progress. This allows access to a broader variety of skills, more specializations, and more powerful equipment. This is not only for combat, but also for gathering and crafting skills. Become a generalist with a vast array of decent skills, or focus on becoming the best and most famous swordsmith. You have the freedom to become whatever you want. The choice is yours.